Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and you are watching a new episode on the Wojennik TV YouTube channel. Some time ago I have showed you one of the games that I have most played during the last months, and this game was HEXplore, the Valley of the Dead King. I mentioned during those videos that I will also show you the second opus in the HEXplore saga called Forests of Adrimon. And today is the day. I would like to open the box with the Forests of Adrimon, take a look at all the gorgeous components enclosed in it, and look at how it compares to the Valley of the Dead King. So, an unboxing video. HEXplore, the Forests of Adrimon, was published thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign, because when the first edition of the Valley of the Dead King was published back in 2017, Mariucci J Designs already wanted to launch a second Kickstarter campaign to publish the second volume of the HEXplore saga, so the Forests of Adrimon. And this Kickstarter campaign was a big success because not only the second volume was published, was funded, also the basic game, so the first volume, The Valley of the Dead King, was relaunched. I have already shown you how it looked. Today I would like to open the box of the Forests of Adrimon. The game was designed by three persons, by Kat Kimundri, Nathan Laws and Jonathan Mariucci himself. The game is, as it was in the case of the Valley of the Dead King, meant to be played by 1 to 6 players, but there is also an expansion which will enable us to play in a group of up to 7 persons. In this volume, the major opponent which the heroes will be facing is Adrimon, a magi, a mystical creature which lives in a big forest and where she tries to control each living creature in it. So we will, as it was the case in the Valley of the Dead King, we will try to develop our skills, upgrade our gear, prepare to a final battle with Adrimon herself. We might think that this is just a copy of the Valley of the Dead King, but don't be fooled. In this game we have a lot more. We have different mechanisms, we have different ideas, we have different items, we have also different characters and roles. It's a standalone game in the HEXplore saga, so we will receive a lot of interesting new fresh components, and I'm eager to try them out. So let's now take a look at this game, what those components will look like, and let's take a brief look to compare them to the Valley of the Dead King. Let's go. Here is the box of the Forests of Adrimon ready to be opened. As you can see, a beautiful, very intriguing box cover, but to be frank, I preferred the cover of the first edition of the Valley of the Dead King. Of course, it's only a subjective opinion. It's a very pretty box cover also. On the back of the box we can see, as always, a short description about this part of the HEXplore saga. Here we have also a picture representing the world that we will be building thanks to the tiles, thanks to the elements enclosed in this box. A look at the cards which will be inside and a list of the components. But why should I explain how this list looks if I can just show them to you, all those elements? So let's just open the box. The first thing that we receive is an information with a big thank you to all the persons who backed Forests of Adrimon on Kickstarter, because as I said earlier, this edition was published thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign. So here it's a way to say thank you to all of the persons who backed this project, and also a big shout out to all those who would be interested in backing the third part of the HEXplore world, the Sands of Sharax. This project had already been funded on Kickstarter, but I am sure that it will be possible to buy a copy when the game is being released in about a year. What do we receive apart from this element? So first of all, as earlier, we received some dry erase markers. We will be using them during gameplay in order to write some information on playing mats on different elements. We receive only one miniature, so when it comes to other Kickstarter projects, that might seem minimalistic, but it's not the miniatures which create the great depth of this game. It's something very much different. Apart from that, the miniature representing Adrimon, so the major opponent of the players in this series, in this part of the HEXplore series, is really a pretty one. So it's a beauty, but it's a beast at the same time, because it will be a very difficult opponent to defeat. As always, we receive some race cards, which will be used by players in order to construct their own characters. So here we have, for instance, a forest bone, a sprite, a fawn, a brony. But here's something different, and this will be a relic. So in this part we'll also receive some very powerful items. So for instance, the Arcavian staff or the figurine of power, the Geomander's shield. So we will be receiving much more interesting items than in the Valley of the Dead King. I think it's a very good idea, because in the Valley of the Dead King we did receive some items, but most of them were or rather weak, or we did gather them in a few quantity. Now here are some additional races: Briarkin, Den, Troll, Bogard, Cedar, and then a great sword, so another relic, a Scepter of Light. Very intriguing indeed. We receive also some bags to store elements. The rulebook, which is pretty much the same as when it comes to the first edition. As you can see, it's a rulebook describing the object of the game, how to use some elements as the dry erase markers on the dice, how to set up the game, how to play it, how combat is being resolved. So those are pretty much the same information that we receive in the first edition, The Valley of the Dead King, because Forests of Adrimon is a standalone game. We can play it without using the first edition, so The Valley of the Dead King. But we do have some additional stuff, some additional information, because it's not just a copy-paste game, it is a game on its own with some additional depth, with some additional rules. The rulebook is, I believe, a little bit longer than in the Valley of the Dead King. It's more than 80 pages, so it's a quite long rulebook, but as you can see, the text is being prepared in such a way that the pages are rather short. Then we have the storybook, and it's great that it was also included in this edition of HEXplore. This is something of a role-playing addition to the board game itself, because here we will find descriptions about some locations, about some bosses or encounters, about some items which we will find during gameplay. And each time we run across such a thing, such a person, such a creature, we can browse this additional book, and we can search the story related to this encounter, and that's really fine. That's really great, especially for persons who like additional storytelling or RPG elements in board games. Let's take a look underneath this tray, and here we can find, of course, some dice. And those dice, as you can see, are standard green, yellow and blue ones with a purple one, but we receive also a new kind of die, a different colored die, also with a hex printed on it. We receive one additional miniature, but it will not be a character, it will not be a person, it will be a city where we can find an arena, a garden, a labyrinth, and a huge palace in the middle. So fantastic miniature, which will be placed on the game board. Really looks fine. 3 decks of cards. The first one is a deck of cards with power-up cards, those will be cards used in order to increase the stats of our party. As you can see, the symbol of the Forests of Adrimon is very much different from the Valley of the Dead King. It will help players to sort the cards if they happen to mix cards from the two editions. So those cards will pretty much work the same as in the Valley of the Dead King. The second deck is the deck of the Circumstance cards, and those Circumstance cards will be also pretty much familiar to players who played the Valley of the Dead King. So let's take a brief look at how those cards look, what we can find in this deck. All right. And here we go. So here are the Circumstance cards which will be used in the Forests of Adrimon. Some monsters, a decaying giant, an animated statue, old birds, and some afflictions, some discoveries, events, etc. So a lot of interesting things with interesting symbols which will mean surely something. Here we have also additional events, treasures, a lot of interesting things which will be discovered during gameplay. The third deck of cards is being called differently than in the Valley of the King because we receive destinations and fragments. In the Valley of the King we had quests. Here we do not have quests, but I believe that discoveries and fragments will replace quests. As you can see here, it's pretty much the same thing that when it comes to quests, I believe they will be working the same way or maybe in a very similar way. But here we have some additional cards with a symbol. Maybe those will be fragments used in order to find some items or some relics. As you can see, the cards are of the same quality as in the first edition, and the way that the information is presented on the card is the same. Very, very nice. So those are the three decks of cards. As you can see, no elements related to Adrimon, because if you want to play the villain, as it was the case in the Valley of the Dead King, we do have to open the expansion, which I also will be showing to you shortly. Then we have also some big mats with additional characters which can be used in play. So for instance, the Druid, here it is, very pretty picture. The Stonecaller, he will also be presented in the backside, on the backside of this card. Here the Historian. So here we have a Historian in a library. The Floromancer. So very interesting characters. As you can see, all of them different than those in the Valley of the King. The Verdant Keeper, also very pretty. The Solipist, etc, etc. The Battle Mat, which will be used in order to track information about Adrimon and in order to battle our opponents. And here we receive also the Bosses card. Here is, for instance, a 6th level boss, Aranea, a giant spider, the Spider Queen in fact. Now here we have also a bear. So apart from the poor Alabast from the Return of the Valley of the Dead King, here is another boss which is a bear, and this time it will be Urgos. Again, one character is the Warden, and some additional bosses, a big owl as you can see, Tyrannus, the Rotting Treant, a Soul River, Death Moth, a Battle Site. So additional information about also wayposts which were absent in the Valley of the Dead King. That's something new. The game turn, so how a game turn will be played. This will be used very often. And here is Adrimon, the ultimate opponent in the game, and the most dangerous and most and most prolific opponent in the game, and our objective will be to defeat her. On the second side, the 9th level opponent, so a very powerful one, also the Enraged Elemental. Additional information about Sentinels, which is something new, then Entrailed Cities, Searching for Gear, etc. Again, some additional bosses, and also one card depicting Grove items, Elwen's Grove Dark Relics, and here, as you can see, the additional die will be useful. It's not all, because in order to play, we will also have to construct the board on which the game will be taking place, and in order to do this, we will be using terrain tiles. And those terrain tiles are hidden on the bottom of the box. As you can see, the graphics are tremendous, are really great. The way that the second edition of the Valley of the Dead King had been redone is really majestic. It's so pretty, and the Forests of Adrimon, it has the same standard, has the same style of those board tiles. As you can see, some small tiles, some bigger ones, used in order to construct the world of Adrimon. Here we have some additional tiles, some smaller ones, but soon we will also see some bigger ones. Here they are, which will be used to construct the basic world, which then will be upgraded, enlarged, thanks to additional terrain tiles. As you can see, we have also some small tiles, which will be added to the bigger ones. The boss locations, the cities, so persons who know the first edition will pretty much without any problem begin playing, of course after discovering the differences, because there will be some major differences between those two editions. And that's it when it comes to the elements enclosed in the box of the Forests of Adrimon. Let's pass on to a short conclusion. When I presented the Valley of the Dead King, you probably felt in my voice that I really like this system, and you are right, because HEXplore is a system that I really like. I love the theme, I like the philosophy of design behind this game, I love the narrative, I like the great palette of creatures, of characters that we can impersonate. So Forests of Adrimon was something that I was really thrilled to try. Now, when the box is open, I am even more thrilled to play this game, because those components are just tremendous, are just gorgeous. I like the artwork on the hex tiles, I like the cards, I like the new races, I like the new characters, and I really like the new bosses, and I'm eager to try to defeat them. I will of course read the rules in order to compare the rules to the Valley of the Dead King, especially reading about the new items which were absent from the first volume. Now here we have some different ones. I am glad that this is a game with some new mechanisms, with some tweaks compared to the Valley of the Dead King. Thanks to it, we will play it differently than the first volume, and I am very eager to try it. Now, I will show you also the expansion for the Forests of Adrimon, which is called, as you might expect, the Return to the Forests of Adrimon, so expect to see it in a few weeks on our channel. Up till then, I wish you a fantastic day, a fantastic week. I hope you visit also our other videos, take a look at our reviews, at our unboxings, at our top 10s. See you next time, and bye.